Okay. All right. Sounds good. Okay. Hello, everybody. Thank you for roughing the weather and coming out to Poets and Pints number 114. Yeah, we've been going for a bit. In fact, our 10-year anniversary is on February 8th, which is actually going to be a Saturday night show. It's going to be a mere $5 admission, but we've got some big-time poets coming, and it's going to be fun. And we're going to have this whole place. It's going to be great. So put it on your calendar. You can find it on our Facebook page and our Instagram, but if you don't have those, you can just go to Eventbrite, and that's where you buy tickets anyway, and search for the Poets and Pints 10-year anniversary. You'll find it. So please do that. That would be great. We'd love to see you all here. I like to start the show with a poem from a poet you might not have heard. Now, does anybody have a poem from a poet we might not have heard of? Maybe it's a friend of yours. No? Okay, then I'm just going to turn to a random page in this anthology of ours. You guys might have heard of Julie Strand, but that's okay. So this is from Julie Strand, and apropos title, Climate Assessment, Minnesota. The waters won't freeze this December, not just warm, but creepy warm. Many important preparedness, resilience, and adaptation efforts are already being led. We wear our feather coats to will it, to walk on water as much as we want to fly. By local, state, and regional entities across the country, mechanisms being used by local governments pluck nature and hem it into our bodies like new parts. Days click deeper and we watch for thickness to prepare for climate change, include land use planning, provisions to protect infrastructure. Who will we be in January, February, March, if the lion never arrives? And ecosystems, regulations relate to the design and construction of buildings, feathered in vain, toes never turning blue, roads and bridges in preparation for emergency response and recovery. Will we all just move on someplace more fitting ourselves? Iceland, Greenland, Norway? These local adaptations, plannings, and actions are unfolding in municipalities of different sizes, or we will all lie down, certain of gods and powers on the shores, head to foot, and regional agencies and regional aggregations of governments are also taking actions. Head to foot as voted on, fingers in unison, go turning the weedy wet will towards an icy one. So that was Climate Assessment, Minnesota by Julie Strand. And you can find that, shameless promotion time, in our anthology that we put out of poets that were on the show in the first 2 years. It's called Stuff That Was Said. This is $15, and all the money goes to Cracked Walnut, which is the local chapter of the League of Minnesota Poets. So, and that's who sponsors this show. But without further ado, actually, I wanted to do one more thing. Today, and I'm not going to pretend like I didn't just find this out on the way over, because I did. But today apparently is Transgender Awareness, or Transgender Remembrance Day. And they had a thing at the Rotunda today at the state capitol. And so I wanted to just take a moment and have our own little remembrance here for anybody you might know who's been harmed, or, you know, or you just want to remember that's in the transgender community. So we're just going to take a second here for that. Thank you. Okay, so without further ado, I'm going to bring up our first poet of the evening, and that is going to be Maureen Skelly. Maureen Skelly was the host of local station KFAI's poetry show, the Northland Literary Review Voices from the Dream from 85 to 95, and currently hosts a collective on KFI's The Wave Project. Now, is this old? Do you still do that?
Yes, I'm still doing it.
Cool. She has worked as a poet in residence in public schools and was a loft teaching artist, performed with bands, and set her poetry to music. She's organized many poetry events in the region, including Bread and Poetry, a food shelf benefit, and Singing the Way North benefit for Manitou.
Easy goats.
There you go. She was on the board of the Powderhorn Writers Festival and a small nonprofit that transformed a Minneapolis neighborhood with poetry. She is published in many anthologies, working now on a lucid book. She continues to do poetry workshops in her grandchildren's classes, who I assume are right here?
Yes.
Okay. Everybody, please put your hands together for Maureen Skelly.
Thanks for that nice introduction.
Wrote it myself. I didn't.
Oh, Scott, could you hand me that red book there?
We've got a stand you can put your stuff on, if you want.
Maybe that would work well.
Oh, I meant the music. Whatever you want to do.
So I'm a Minneapolis girl. I was born here. I'm a local Minnesotan. I'm going to read it from a variety of places in Minnesota, but this one is from one of the years the Twins won the World Series, and I was living in Northeast Minneapolis at the time. It's called "And No One Has Been Killed." A giant party has erupted in the streets of Minneapolis. Cars whiz by for hours, honking. Fireworks explode upon the wind. Cheers carried 2 miles to my door through the misting, drizzling October rain. Clamors of human thunder. Artists wish it were poetry, music, or dance that arouse such statewide celebration. Crazed and youthful generations, celebrate your gods and heroes. For now, you win for each one of us who needs a victory, and no one has been killed. And the shelter today we found along the Mississippi, fire shards and socks with holes hung on branches to dry. May the judgmental arms of humanity enfold your shoulders too, in mad and joyful camaraderie. Tossing the ball, once a sacred ceremony. Tossing the ball back and forth, batting planets between two people. Dropping, fumbling, catching more and more frequently with practice, confidence, knowledge of the other partner. Partners, teach us to play in fairness with our hearts centered, the whole long enduring game. The winning pitcher with a humble sideways glance said, "I don't know where it came from, but I just kept playing with what I've got." Mystery fuel our fires when we need them most. All fires under overhanging cliffs, in railroad jungles. Humankind loves itself again. Let it last a while, beyond tomorrow, as we almost gladly gather beer cans from the banks of the for once smiling river. That was written in October '91 when one of the years the Twins won the World Series. So I wanted to bring up water here in Minnesota. I teach my students that if you live in Minnesota, it is your responsibility to take care of the water. We have all these lakes. We have the source of the largest river in North America, bordering the largest freshwater lake in the world. And if anybody here has not gone up to the North Shore, Highway 61, please take a drive up there. One of the things I really appreciate about Minneapolis is you can drive for half hour, 40 minutes, and you can find yourself in a natural area of diversity. There's the North Shore of Lake Superior, there's the bluff country of the Mississippi, there's the St. Croix River Valley. West, there's the plains, the cornfields, the Black Hills. I mean, we're in this, I always tell people I live in the oasis between the coasts. It's a creative town, it's a music town. So this poem is about water. It's called "The Songs of the People Are Never in Vain." It was performed at a Clean Water Action benefit, and it was written the year that they wanted to put more nuclear waste storage casks on Prairie Island, which has probably been 25 years now. The songs of the people are never in vain. 10,000 years ago, 5,000 years ago, 2,000 years ago, 200 years ago, 1948, 1962, 1987, 1998, 2014, 2024. Our bodies mostly water. Emergence out of dark oceans, algae, coral, dolphin, starfish, whale. When I was a child, my father would take me hiking in the mountains to a spring. He would have me cup my hand and drink and say, "This is water as it was created by God. It is electromagnetically loaded. This will recharge your body and heal you." Under a microscope, polluted molecules of water look different. A certain cut of crystal put in water, charged with prayer and intent, can change the molecular structure of water. Scientifically proven, the effects last after the crystal is removed. Water, the water at Lourdes, the water in the cactus, water that will save your life in the desert. Holy water. 2, human error. The imperfection weaving into Navajo rugs. Imperfection like chaos into order, into chaos, another turn of the spiral. Safe. For 10,000 years, these nuclear waste casks on an island near the source in the largest river in North America will withstand tornadoes, atomic bombs, global warming trends, floods, volcanic eruptions, any earthquakes of the New Madrid fault line, pole shifts, changing land masses. And no one in Minnesota ever makes a mistake. After all the pamphlets, phone calls, benefits, press releases, campaigns, strategies, wheeling and dealing, I'll vote for your bill if you'll vote for mine, intricate webwork of battle, yes, no, right, wrong, Republican, Democrat, dualities, a river runs through it, eddies and rushes and rests between storms for the cycle, the time to circle round again. The medicine man at the Prairie Island demonstration doesn't attack NSP. He just blesses the water. And as the tide turns with our tiniest step, water begins to regain its place amongst the sacred things. 10,000 years ago, 2,000 years ago, 1998, 2024, the songs of the people are never in vain. So I wanted to read that because we have federal protection right now for the Boundary Waters Canoe area. And not to get too political, but tomorrow is Give to the Max Day. And I've spent time on choosing an issue, and I went to a few conferences on water and prevention of copper sulfide mining in northern Minnesota. So those two groups are Save the Boundary Waters and Water Legacy. We've had a lot of people working together. There were some wonderful water action days at the Capitol with Dave Durenberger, senior senator, Winona LaDuke. So anyway, it's a good time to think about how you may want to participate too. maintain our beautiful state and keep the drinking water clean here. I think Minnesota should be a national water preserve in northern Minnesota. So anyway. I wanted to thank my grandsons and my son for coming tonight. Growing up in Minnesota, the two areas that we went to the most frequently for trips were the North Shore and the Black Hills. So the Black Hills is anybody been there? People probably been to the Black Hills of South Dakota. There are 2 times in my life where I have experienced large groups of people coming together and defeating corporate interests. One of them was in 1980. It was called the Black Hills Survival Gathering. A huge coalitions got together, and James Watt, I believe, was impeached, wanted the Black Hills to be called a national sacrifice area. Well, we had a huge gathering, and they were stopped. The other time was a group called the Pegasus Corporation that wanted to do leach heap mining in northern New Mexico, and that was also stopped. So it does work sometimes, just to be encouraging of, people, all of us coming together and uniting in common focus. Game Lodge Valley, Custer State Park. A dark night, few stars. Walking up to the lodge, I've forgotten my flashlight. Decide to practice night sight. Trust my feet to find the trail. A darker than night shape looms ahead. I know this valley some. There's no boulder here. I freeze. No fear, no fear. Slowly walk backwards until I get to the other side of the buffalo fence. I am in a camper cabin, valley of Coolidge Creek. The family has gone. I am alone except for the giant bull buffalo on the other side of the fence. He comes and sits right by my cabin. It is summer solstice, a warm night. I sit outside by the fire for hours, me and the buffalo. I feel comforted, gifted, more a part of this world with his presence. Plains tribes still use buffalo altars for sacred ceremonies. Tatanka, the older brother. I reflect on the history of humans, animals, this world, ceremonies created from gratitude. Worlds reversed, worlds changed with gratitude. And one more Black Hills poem. This was written for the 100-year anniversary of Custer State Park, which is where the Wildlife Loop Road is. They changed the name of Harney Peak to Black Elk Peak, and perhaps they'll change the name of this state park at some point as well. Enduring Dawn. Light drapes across northern plains, climbs ponderosa boughs, hills, peeks over edge of canyon. Light has come to campers in the valley of the Coolidge Creek. A silent leaping from rocky outcrop across high cliffs, rays shed over needles, spires, ancient animated rocks. Dark-eyed white mountain goats watch from their home high in the Pahasapa, the Black Hills. The land speaks underneath our feet, weaving through our breath, bodies, dreams, and prayers, the thundering of years. I put my hands on the warm rock in the middle of the creek. What has it seen, heard, absorbed in this valley 100 years? Sacred to the Lakota, abundant fish and game for survival, the coming of the white man, settlers, railroads, the near extinction of the buffalo, and their recovery here again in what has been recognized as sacred land, now by many races a larger hoop. 2, my little sister's delight, 3-year-old feet in clear Coolidge Creek waters. A deer tentatively moves closer, nibbles oak leaves from her hand in the 60s. Small brown log or board with yellow trim cabins. Coolidge in a cafeteria, we sit at tables eating blueberries. In this valley my mother loved, lodge my father admired, to which we all return now each spring, 60 years, my parents' legacy to us, DNA remnant of some old migration, ancestors with us. I sit on porch of State Game Lodge, wide with history, colorful native rock, fireplaces sparkle. The summer White House of Calvin Coolidge, Teddy Roosevelt, historic photos of gatherings of tribes, and we thank them. Black Elk, Peter Norberg, Badger Clark, and so many others, people of vision who knew to protect the land and creatures for future generations, for us. So we can free the mind and wind the meandering wildlife loop road of buffalo, antelope, prairie dog, meadowlark, so we can hike the bluffs, swim in clear cold water, rest and renew in the ancient heart of North America. We envision this park 100 years into the future for those to come, hearts content and full, in the sacred old mountains of the Black Hills. A light emerges, simply endures through ponderosa boughs. What's that?
You have a really short one?
I was gonna read one more longer one.
You're kind of right up against the time.
Okay, let me see what I got here.
Yes.
Meeting winter. We wake simply on a good morning. Light pulses harder to reach us through colder clouds. Calmed by a luminous day moon, thoughts drift inwards and body turns to meet the north. In longer nights we dream of earth again. Past and present run together with the buffalo over widening plains, and rivers are pure enough to drink. We carry them into the day, where the future is once again limitless. Showered in day moonlight, we grab a torch, turning, meeting, returning north, meeting winter. Thank you. That was a love poem written 35 years ago.
Keep it going for Maureen. Okay. Next up, we have Ryan Morrow. Ryan Morrow is an analytic chemist and poet living in Minneapolis, Minnesota. In his free time, he moves from his daytime laboratory, I like saying it that way, to his nighttime one to write poetry about his experiences and observations of the world. His style is a chimera of lyrical writers of old, such as Baudelaire and Rimbaud, and a more modern free verse. I can talk. His poems span the gamut of topics and form, but are always pushing boundaries with a curious and demanding intent. To date, he has written 3 volumes: Chase Something Worth the Kill from 2015 that has been reimagined and reworked in a redo version released October of 2022. Its pages are filled with punchy lines and verse that often leave the reader captivated and perplexed all at once. After that came Deep Survival in 2018, a more focused effort on the dualities of being, and finally in 2020 he released his 3rd book, Weightless. A 4th book, Amore Fatigue, is soon to be published. It's here now. It's safe to say that Ryan has not yet exhausted himself of the written word. So everybody, please put your hands together for Ryan Morrow.
What's up, y'all? It's good to be here. Thank you so much. Wow, those really are bright. Okay. Yeah, so it's awesome to be here. I guess I finally found my poetry people, so it's good to see you.
Every month.
What's that?
So we're here every month.
Yeah, I'll be back, I think, unless you ban me. I don't have an instrument either.
That's not normal.
I feel handicapped. Tap dance. All right, I'm gonna just fire it off with I'm gonna read this off. A piece I think is pretty strong and kind of fun, and I promised my coworker Josh here that I would read it. It's called Before You Google It. I don't want to Google it. I want to talk about it. I don't want to just know it. I want to arrive at the conclusion. I want to meet the girl and sniff around. Allow her to check out the goods and let the pheromones do the talking. I want to discover things organically, not through background checks for digital compatibility. How is that natural? Where is the risk or value in that? If you have invested nothing, then you will walk away from everything. I don't want to Google it, all right? I want to sit back in awe and not know the answer. I want to just sit and think about the question, preserve the wonder, protect the curiosity. I don't want to become just another strung out robot search engine. I don't want to Google it. I just want to keep talking endlessly about billions of stars I'll never know the names of. I want to hear you discuss things, fumbling and weaving around the point. I want to just listen to the music before I know who the artist is. I want to enjoy it, dare I say, just for the fuck of it. No reason at all. Adore these moments, floating in social blackness. Enjoying not knowing before they know it all. Yeah. I don't know if I'm supposed to give like a diatribe, but obviously like technology is not always like the solution or answer, and sometimes it just makes things suckier. So Google, take that. Their stock's going to plummet after this. All right, this is another piece I wrote for this really cool publication that's no longer around. They only made, I think, 3 volumes. It's called The Hold On Project. I don't really know who was behind it. So I submitted, got accepted, but it was just awesome. Really high caliber stuff in here. You can still find some copies out there, but it was really cool while it lasted. The small prints never last long, as you guys probably all know. So this is called Chemical Waltz. All of life is a kind of burning, of things heating up and colliding, of taking what they require just to keep on. A gargantuan grinding of substance and sinew, a spiraling carnival of recycled radiation. Nothing fundamentally changes, only rearranges. Heraclitus said, "No man ever steps into the same river twice, for it is not the same river, nor the same man, It seems to me both the stepping and the river are superfluous. Everything is destined to evaporate into space. In every possible niche, there are elemental trains arriving with new passengers, as countless others escape into ephemeral confines. Nothing is ever truly destroyed, only built up and then tore down in cyclical annihilation. There is no comfort here, only a kind of humbling poetry. The metamorphosis of hydrogen, the odyssey of quarks and neutrinos, real romance is taking place in the center of every star in the night sky, an orgy of plasma and purity. Try as we might to keep it all in order, to put back what has fallen from the shelf, to alphabetize the spice rack, to keep the toilet paper stocked. But we all know what is coming: the crack, the chaos, the shit. Inevitable surrender. Ever since the universe was ignited, it has proliferated its spark. It will burn and burn until there is nothing left to burn. Dedicated and certain. This ancient motif is mimicked in every cell of our bodies. Tiny molecular fires raging and sputtering, making love to extinction, trading one vice for another, just to keep the dream alive. All the while, time sits and sifts its sands with its strong and vigilant hands. Grain by infinitesimal grain, all must be exchanged, filtered, and deranged. Sometimes we slow dance, other times we break dance, but make no mistake, it is a bittersweet dance with death. Yeah, that's a fun one. I'm obsessed with chemistry and how it controls everything in life. It is the level that everything happens on. You know, there's astronomical big things, quantum mechanics. I mean, who understands quantum mechanics really? Small level. And chemistry, it's like where everything actually happens that humans can understand, in my humble opinion. How am I doing on time?
Got about 4 minutes.
Okay. Read one more?
4 to 5 minutes.
Cool. I'll read one more. Let's see. This one's good. This is from my new book, More Fatigue. It's a play on this old Stoic saying that's amor fati, which basically means to fall in love with one's fate. And so it's just kind of a sarcastic joke. It's like tired of love. It's just like, yeah, I know that's my fate. So it's a little tongue in cheek. So I'll read you a poem from this. It's called Death Muse. Please don't pray for me, for I have nowhere left to go and no place I must forever be. After this is all through, that's a wrap, a sweet finality. No solution, no grand clue. No need to fear nor weep. I ask you to just let it all be. I had all I could sow and surely reap. I loved it all, even the pain. The quality of experience reigned. Life, after all, is a beautiful stain. All the elements rage deep in my heart, as they did in space and will once more, in some distant sun until torn apart. Death is not a devil, but a muse, at once horrifying and beautiful, something to cherish and to use. Do not become callous nor immune. Bathe in this moment just as it is. Be engulfed and in the flames commune. Strip life naked before it is erased. In the end, burden and bliss will weigh the same. Death holds love like the apple was laced.
You got time for one more?
Yeah? Do you want one more? Oh boy. All right, I'll read this one. It's like sappier, which is rare for me, I think. It's called Pigtails. She wore pigtails today. She wore pigtails today. And it sets off a cascade of warm emotions, wave upon wave of chemical joy. It begins with a simple smile and a kiss, and then quickly blooms like some newly created flower, something utterly unique, pulled from the magma of life. Perfection isn't the right word for this experience, but it's damn close. It requires a word more delicate, more nuanced, more sacred. A word that is woven with ecstasy and misery alike. A word that holds space for eternity and doom in the same breath. A start that never had an ending before it came into being. You will know it when you have it in the palm of your hand and it is shaking with elation. You will feel it in your heart. You will feel your heart grow to impossible dimensions. It will terrify you as you understand its rarity. You will know it when it locks into place and you become whole. It will click with the sound of home. You will remember all the times it didn't click or make any sense at all. You will be horrified to imagine life without this feeling. You will know it when you make dinner together and somehow it turns out great every time. Michelin star level in a galley kitchen, even though you're just making shit up. You will know it when your days are as easy as a hot knife through butter, but not in a lazy, apathetic way. More like having the right tool for the job. Everything superfluous removed, no piece out of place. Everything lands where it needs to land. You will know it when you laugh at basically everything. You're each other's biggest fan. Not a second could be wasted when you spend it with the right person, the person you love most of all. There is no where or no when in the history of life better than that moment, those moments of pure euphoria, future memories forever enshrined in devotion. I just love it when she wears pigtails. Thank you.
Keep it going for Ryan. All right. Just a quick note for everyone. There's business cards on the table. If you are a poet or know a poet who has not been on the show especially, there's a survey on the back of that form where you can fill it out, on the back of that card where you can fill it out, and that's all you need to do to get on the show is fill out a survey. There's no audition process, and all right, enough of that. Next poet. Laura Rockhold is a poet. That's why she's here. A visual artist and inventor of the Golden Root poetic form. Jesus. She is a 2022 recipient of the Bring Back the Prairies Award and Southern Minnesota Poets Society Award by the League of Minnesota Poets. Her work appears in Black Fox Literary Magazine, the Dilly-Doon Review, the Ekphrastic Review, the Hopper, Quail Bell Magazine, Swifts and Slows, Variety Pack, and Yellow Arrow Journal. Yellow Arrow Journal. There we go. She holds a BS in child psychology from the University of Minnesota, and you can find her at laurarockhold.com. Everybody, please put your hands together for Laura Rockhold.
Thank you, Tony.
Oh,
Hi.
a little low.
Oh,
Usually I'm awesome at this.
I can do it.
No?
No?
We do it right around.
It's good to be here. I would like to also, I don't know if Maureen is still here.
Just left.
Just left.
Just
Well,
missed.
I'm also have lived in Minnesota my entire life, and I'm going to start with a water poem. It's a poem about Bedote. So for those of you who may not be familiar, Bedote is a Dakota word that means where two waters come together. In the Dakota language, Bedote can refer to any confluence of waters, but the Minnesota River and Mississippi River confluence at Pike Island in St. Paul is the most important Bedote to the Dakota people. It's a sacred place of both physical and spiritual creation and believed to lie directly above the center of the earth and directly below the center of the universe. It's a place where the Dakota hunted, fished, made maple syrup, gathered together. It was also a place of genocide. And today the Dakota still hold ceremonies and remember their ancestors at Bedote. Last fall, I walked Pike Island and spent some time at Bedote. And it's hard to put in words, but I felt the significance of this place and wrote this poem about it. Confluence. Bedote, where two waters come together, where cottonwood and maple meet in air, light October sky on fire, where roots grip shoreline's deckled edges, hold fast on tentative pages, where unseen creatures river infinite script, scatter unbroken poems on the path, a traceable language closer to listening. Do you know where you are? Indigo stars. American bellflower above the understory. Do you know where you are? Vermilion ribbons. Go lightly through tall grass. Where Minnesota and Mississippi rivers merge, where centers of earth and universe converge, where bone black driftwood floats. Where you are, even if you have come with nothing. I'm going to completely switch gears now and read a few poems that are totally different from Confluence. The next two poems are subverted forms, and this one is especially for the poets, writers, publishers, editors in the room. It's called Submission Guidelines. We don't know what we're looking for, but we know it when we see it. This is not the place to use that custom font that best represents your enigmatic personality. And please don't submit 50 ways of looking at X when X is anything at all because it's like totally a variable. You should know we have a zero tolerance policy when it comes to bystander observations and sentimentality. Please, no self-indulgent travelogues, dreams, or food diaries. No shock jock or gut punch. We're not interested in performative suffering. We disdain the words cerulean, undulate, liminal, parse. And birds, we're so sick of birds. If you must mention animals or plants, keep it to a maximum of 2. Any more, and we won't believe you. Also, we prefer you write from the plant or animal's perspective and voice, not your own. Lastly, and we cannot stress this enough, absolutely no fucks, vibrators, or grandmothers. We don't want that shit. Otherwise, run wild. Make us love you. All we really want are your cleverest words, just your very best work from the heart. Ooh. Okay, my next piece is another subverted form. It's for the artist who has suffered over writing the artist's statement, and for the art goer who has suffered over interpreting the artist's statement. It's a burlesque of the artist's statement. Before I read it, I'd like to read a quote from Susan Sontag's essay, Against Interpretation. To interpret is to impoverish. to deplete the world in order to set up a shadow world of meanings. The aim of all commentary on art should be to make works of art in our own experience more rather than less real to us. In a place of hermeneutics, we need an erotica of art. I heard some hmms over there. Yeah, okay. Artist statement. Chromatics is a series of works that explore pyrokinesis aesthetics, challenging the liminal system of outcropping classification. It begs the rhetorical question, will humanity fulfill its promise with the shattering of dreams, with the flowering of dreams, or shatter seashells like a litter of superstars on a pleasure nebula? The images were taken in thermal infrared wavelengths by shoals of drones, invisible to the naked eye off the coast of Finland. After development, they were crumpled into balls, lit on fire, and drop-kicked into a terracotta pot, which gives them their gritty liquidity. Its discourse evolved from silence. Cultivating day and night is essential to the things that plumb the depths of understanding. The hedonistic delicacy of each piece is reduced to controlled instability and the dribbling meandering of forgotten ontologies. Like anthemic onomatopoeia, chromatics juxtaposes censorship with modern science. Sometimes the lines are distinct, sometimes they ask us to take a freedom plunge into a conceived aura as if to say, calligraphy yourself. Their powdery, slushing rage flushes like the untold wonders of raindrops on a sentinel. They answer, what is our biggest fear? With pelagic glass and a whisper of nostalgia. Open-ended domestic meditations manifesting tensions between temporal dimensions and glorious microbial realms, the exhibit speaks to a time of hard dignity. What we see is indistinguishable from magic, similar to light pollution and energy consumption. It asks us to define what is today versus what is now. Please feel free to pinch and expand the entire exhibit. Okay, I've been calling this next poem a poem-mercial. So poem commercial, it's a tiny little ditty. It's called Knicker Bits by Badge Tex. Knicker, as in the British term for panties, and bits as in what the knickers are meant to cover. So yeah, I'm gonna go there. Knicker Bits by Badge Tex. Grow your confidence by putting your forefoot out there with life-enhancing knicker bits. These camel toe inserts will let everyone know you're blessed when dressed. Get noticed as your labia enter rooms long before you do. Take your voluptuous vajayjay for beach frolicking fun. Let your hoo-ha be the hero of yoga class. It's time we celebrate the elusive mon poupie. Pick the size that's right for you. Fishlets, Taco Town, or billowy pillows. Order your knicker bits today, then hoist up your hot pants and flaunt that flappy snatch. May cause spontaneous floss dancing, dry humping of inanimate objects, or general sexual rambunctious, flammable when rubbed relentlessly.
Take my money.
I have two more kind of short ones.
Okay.
Is there time, or should I do one?
Where's my? My watch is, of course, updating. One.
One?
Probably, yeah.
I'll do one. It's called Now Then, a Homecoming. In the age of false eyelashes and litigious email, in the big house of secrets is an opulent apron collection. Oh, the ruffling, the applique, Here, no one minds thorny red vines snaking around potted lemon trees, which are unharvested, of course, for show. Lemons the size of grapefruits. It's the childhood, home, of the woman running through it, room to room, turning on every light, including the lights in the closets, china cabinet, and oven. She let herself in while everyone was away. She glimpses herself in a silver mirror, wild hair and sweating, and mouths the word ridiculous to her reflection. She cranks the dimmers all the way up. The thermostat rises above 98.6 degrees Fahrenheit. The pet monkey she's holding says, "You know your family isn't coming home, right?" She says she knows all about that. Thank you.
Keep it going for Laura. If I say your name wrong, correct me right away, please. Taiwana Shambley. A Black trans woman with disabilities, Taiwana Shambley is an abolitionist fiction writer, excuse me, and teaching artist from St. Paul's North End neighborhood and based in Minneapolis. She writes, teaches, performs, and shifts stories to empower marginalized youth in Minnesota. Her work explores themes of political anger, West African and Black American mythology, and familial and ancestral, those are really two words that are hard to say together, relationships. 2024 marks her 10th year in the literary arts. You can book her or subscribe to her updates on her first novel at TaiwanaShambly.com. Everybody, please put your hands together for Taiwana Shambley.
It's nice to be in community with you all today. Hi. A thing I say at the beginning of all my readings, I have a speaking disability, so it takes me a little longer to say stuff. And it is remarkably easier to exist when I just make space for it, which is why I say it. Yes, I'm gonna do 3 pieces. The first one is called Welcome to Maryland Avenue. This north side, no, not North Minneapolis. No, not North St. Paul. It's north side, my hood, even when I'm all the way across the river. Oop gangs and cliques are Maryland Avenue, and gunshots outside our front door are Maryland Avenue. And boxing rounds with or splashing whoever's still in front of you is Maryland Avenue. And men beefing with shorties when they old enough to be Maryland Avenue. And everything stopped being everything when the homie Jamel died. But on Goddess, I didn't know dude who got stretched in the Maryland Market parking lot. I crossed Maryland Avenue to avoid walking through his colors. I did know my little brother Elijah. He Maryland Avenue this close to the screen, like a Kiss from his room Sierra poster would save him from this kill streak in Call of Duty 3. There's a hole in his head now. I've been chilling because I love that Assassin's Creed and Bat Family and Naruto shit. And my mom made enough so I didn't have to do too much. And ableism and transphobia almost swallowed me growing up, which is to say, I got tired of niggas laughing at my stutter and lifting my pants leg and putting their fingers in my face. as asking what's that, as if I'm not Maryland Avenue. I had slept the next Maryland Avenue nigga that told me he'd never paint his nails, as if I'm one of the bros, or like I even game in Maryland Avenue. This north side, you know my cousins. We ran this shit as shorties with no hair on our Maryland Avenue, and busted your Maryland Avenue, and stole from your Maryland Avenue. And I told you call us whatever, throw them ends up Maryland Avenue. Fuck you Maryland Avenue. Meet us by the train tracks at the couch we repurposed. It had stains, yeah, but was far from unlovable. And Jonathan then was about to just throw it away. We rode bikes on Maryland Avenue, and I stood on Ray J pegs till I learned how to Maryland Avenue. Now I drive from Northside to Minneapolis strapped, impressed. Because Kevin and them beat that trans girl and left a piece of her brain at the train station on Lake in Chicago. And y'all watch that shit. It's all good. It's all good. I'm Maryland Avenue. Ask Izzy, I done talk shit to 12 in handcuffs. Ask H, I done bounced niggas' heads off my fists and made them see whole planets. Ask Goddess, let me Maryland Avenue, the man that killed my brother. And I promise all you hear is this north side. And there be no more fighting. I always forget to do like content warnings and stuff, but my work is like has a lot of violence. It can get graphic, so if you need to make space for yourself, please feel free to do so unapologetically and step out if you need to, or like cover your kids' ears. Like this next piece is Stones Don't Need Hope. Or disabled, sort of like spider people or super someones. We are daughters of governors, descendants of the Black war goddess, post-organizers that love our bad posture. But back in the day, when we stood upright, it brought whole nonprofits to their knees. Why was everyone just standing there? When we stood, our legs wobbled. First one, and then the other, like twins. Every tower has to fall someday. And every fallen tower hurts somebody. Stones don't need hope, they'll just make you bleed. Uncle Ben said great power, it came with greatness and more stones. And then everyone became a thrower. And when the sliding glass door to a trans girl's balcony facing north got shattered with stones and notes like cowards, you only heard about it when the sun rose. But not when our stutterers stop time. Every stammer, every open space like a runny chord on a God's piano. A single conversation or clause was many, and we saw them all. We see everything, even the stones in your hands. And we laugh at you mid-throw. Even our babies know how to crunch a pelvis. And when the Spider-Verse glitches out, sky is raining in the meat of summer. On a day so hot, the water, it hits the sidewalk and it sizzles. Everybody gonna love staying in the house. And hope will have nothing to do with it. This last piece is from my debut novel. My agent is currently in talks with publishers about book deals and stuff, like he's handling that. But it is about a Black disabled girl from St. Paul who's the daughter of the first Black and first woman governor of Minnesota. And she decides, like after years of being harassed by her classmates for her disabilities, she decides that like she needs to do violence in order to protect herself and be free. And so she ends up leading this really violent like revolution. And her mom the whole time is like, whoa, chill, you know, like I'm the governor, we're people of process and rules and policy. And their conflict, it changes the city in a really important way. I don't want to do spoilers, but
When's it come out?
I don't know yet because we're still talking to book publishers. The novel is I Could Be Free Yesterday. He did too much dancing when he fought. We squatted up in the parking lot, me keeping my fist close to my face and weaving my chin around, and him holding his left hand outstretched as if keeping me distant. He kept tapping his front foot like he was about to kick, but of course I didn't flinch. I let him swing first, a quick right hook that might have worked on somebody slower or with less fights, but not me. I ducked and rolled and hit him with a left. He recovered fast enough to block it, but stumbled backwards. And that's when I started on him for real. I threw a cross, jab, and changed levels. Crouching like one of Big Lou's pit bulls, I threw 2 crosses at his stomach and then cocked my arm all the way back, and he groaned. As I rose, he threw a small world of jabs, hitting me with 1 or 2, and then went for a kick. I sidestepped, imagining myself attacking him from a right angle, and threw a heavy cross. He fell on his hands with his back facing towards me, and rose quick as hell, and turned in time to meet my left uppercut. Another cross. He was down. I beat that boy so good, my fist bounced his head off the parking lot as he curled into half a ball and blocked his face for 4 whole minutes. Our classmates formed a crowd and recorded videos, swiveling their phones around like lawn sprinklers. Akita and Curtis tried to push through the crowd with little luck. My bumps were clearly visible. The arm sleeves on my autumn red sweater rolled up to the elbow. But for the first time I remembered since being diagnosed, I didn't care. I'm grown now, I thought. With my whole chest. All this stops today. Steady Kevin had led the kids who harassed and touched my bumps the last 4 years. I kept track of all their questions that never felt to me like questions. What happened to your face? Did you walk through a fire? Were you shot like 50 Cent? What the fuck happened to your legs? Time, it seemed to slow down as I threw a punch for each one. What's up, Kevin? Let's talk now. Here's all them jokes now. Kevin's nose bent like a lawn chair, teetering back and forth between consciousness. He ain't respond. His right eye was puffy and closing, a light purple that looked like it would mature to black. I punched through his block, which swayed up and down like a drunk who stood too fast. Oxing and physical therapy be paying off, I thought. I was proud of my strength. My knuckles were split and caked red black, and my hood must have come down because I felt the cool fall air slapping my neck, and my big baggy sweatpants were scratched at the knees from kneeling on the concrete. I took one sweeping look at the crowd. Kevin knew how bad I wanted him. Everybody did. Host of our grade was present, and little kids too. They all looked scared. Every little inch of Curtis's eyes looked brown with worry. Akita covered her mouth with her hand as if to say, "Damn, bitch, you won." And then I beat Kevin again, alternated between both fists. I hit him with a hooked elbow, being sure to fuck up all his features from his chin to his temples. I asked Kevin, "What happened to your face?" And I slapped his cheeks. as hard as I could like a drum. I stood and asked Kevin, "What happened to your legs?" and stomped his shins. I tried to step through them and did the same to his elbows. He craned his neck towards the gray, sunless sky and wailed from his stomach. "Oh, that's all you got to say, Kevin?" I asked, balling my fist, and straddled him again. "This is the first time I heard you this quiet, bro." I spat on him, and a thick white-yellow glob trailed down his cheek. He was unconscious. I wondered how he would feel when he woke up in some hospital, and I punched him one last time in the mouth for good measure. I hoped he would spit out a tooth and remember me every time he smiled. "Good," said George. He was the only voice I could hear. "You were well on your way, descendant." But I was angry. I was so angry. I took a moment to gather myself. There was still the issue of all these witnesses. I scanned the crowd for faces, and I recognized them all. They laughed, all of them. Maybe not today, but definitely yesterday, and never again. I could keep going. I thought about what I left in Akita's bag. I could air this bitch out right now. What the fuck are y'all looking at? Except for Curtis and Kita, they all backed up a few inches. I glared right into their cameras. "Do y'all got something to say about my fucking disability?" "Nah, cause let me know something. All I ever wanted was to be left alone." "But y'all been emptying me. of everything good since I was 13. Everywhere I go, y'all pointing and laughing and have something to say. I'm North End Zoo. Keita, Curtis, and Stefan and them my only people. I'm a zoo in every way that matters. But it's all good, because from here on, I'm free. It's been a pleasure. Thank y'all. From TaiwanaShambley.com.
What's the book called?
It's called I Could Be Free Yesterday.
Keep it going for Taiwan.
Oh. Look at your Bible.
All right, so we're gonna take a quick break and then we're gonna do some open mic. We got a short open mic, so I think we'll be able to fit it in, but I still wanna take a quick break because you should talk to Ryan and Taiwana, especially for, for art reasons. But we are a nonprofit, it's 501c3. If you notice on the table tents, there's a QR code for PayPal. If you'd like to donate that way, you certainly can. Otherwise, I'm gonna quote unquote pass the hat. If you got anything, great. If you can't, that's fine. It's a free show. It will always be a free show, except for the 10-year anniversary, it's a $5 show. But other than that, it will always be a free show. Anyway, we'll see you in about 5-7 minutes or whatever. But till then, enjoy each other. Hello. Okay, so for those of you who are on the open mic, remember 2 minutes or less because we are really short on time. So we got 5 people to get through, possibly 6. So let's start right out with, we'll just start right out with Rick. Rick Hilber, everybody.
Good evening. Two-part poem this evening entitled The Vision of Beauty. The first part I called, What is a Garden For? The garden path shared is even worn wide, but not worn out, just expanded in celebration of the simple things, the blooms, the respite, and the bloom again. Let it be for the songbirds, for the human heart. Part 2, perhaps. The beatific vision of reality is always in front of my present experience of God. The sunrise is the glory for a start of day. The sunset is now all the glory for its end. The reality we know is always less than what aspirationally we may one day know. The priestess in the flowers, of the flowers, knows to celebrate what we do know. Even at the most advanced states of the consciousness of my psyche, my condition can only be termed liminal. Will I ever see God? Perhaps. What remains of the day is night. In the night, I await the coming of the light.
Next up, we got Bailey Martin. Oh, that is way too. Sorry.
Hello. This is a poem called Words Bubble Up Like Soda Pop. It's inspired by a movie of the same name. If you like a cute movie about a kid writing haiku at the local mall, it's a cute little film. I'm spinning a record slow, pass through time, evolve a smile, rise. Like soda bubbles would, a festival of feelings, let me go out. To celebrate, and you will write my intentions towards the world sound. Timed premonitions, words I write, so they speak for themselves, show me yours. Teeth, so we can speak our words together using our imperfect form. Thank you.
Next up, we have Coral.
So we got a theme going on for Native American Heritage Month and Trans Day of Remembrance. There were trans students who were in the couch-tipping press with me, and I'm also attempting to tell the story of an indigenous street genius. This poem was written in a couch-tipping class, a writing class to publish class books of people with disabilities and developmental conditions, and it shows their style of both journal and poetry. Couch-tipping Press offers among other options, cheap online classes with other imaginative writers and a place to focus on writing. And you don't have to tell them you have a disability, just say you're disabled. So I talked to someone at my college, hoping I could go beyond stereotypes and social norms. I want to talk to somebody. The straight A Indigenous student I had crucial conversations with is no stereotype. He has every Indigenous gift in the Sacred Tree book on alcohol and drug prevention, as well as every Indigenous problem. He reads more books and does more songs than the average person, and is good at everything from reading, writing, guitar, singing, rap, and being a chef. He quoted books and lectures, Native American history, and thoughts on historical trauma. We spoke to each other without worrying about social rules, people to people. He tried to teach me about the poetic, intellectual, perhaps human side of the drug dealers. Despite being told that he needed to repeat a grade before the age of 12, he read at least 2,000 books in jail and says his best friend is smarter than him. I kind of interviewed him about his brain. I'm encouraging him to write a book. He wrote 2,000 songs. I offended him calling him a poet when he came in the spring. So I told him about being a poet and offending an audience because I thought I could be a street poet. Write poems straight from my empathic mind. But street poets have to follow the rules of the street, the norms of the group. An audience may not be ready to hear a poem on race or religious relations. Also, if you suddenly start writing poems about neurodiversity, you need a neurodiverse-friendly space to speak. I didn't want to publish my poetry, constantly edit my poetry week after week or day after day like my father, but to get to people to learn about the diverse world I inhabit, especially in academic settings, is my dream. I may need to set money aside to publish a book with an intercultural team of editors. But I thought I could be a street poet.
Next up, we have Jordan.
I wrote the second half of this yesterday, so bear with me. It's called Kind of Guy. I'm a chill kind of guy. An ice cream in January kind of guy. I'm a music for every moment, hike in the rain, sing in the shower, cat loving kind of guy. I'm a hate to admit when I was wrong kind of guy, but I'm trying to be I was wrong kind of guy. See, I got oceans of people behind me, many of which that I've hurt, and I got a steady stream coming at me that I'm trying to do right by. And if physics class taught me anything, it's that change happens in the river delta. And I'm a river delta kind of guy. I don't know if I'm a changed kind of guy, but I'm a making changes kind of guy. If geography taught me anything, it's that flourishing farmland and bustling cities tend to be where the growth is. And I'm a growing kind of guy. Where the landscape is uncertain and the maps often have to be redrawn, and I'm a redraw it kind of guy. But to redraw or retry, first you gotta admit that the first round wasn't good enough. It's easy to think that if the first round wasn't good enough, that no round would be good enough. And I'm trying to remind myself that I'm a good enough kind of guy. See, I have to accept that the pollution in the ocean is there, but it doesn't mean that I have to stop trying to purify what's poured into it. We're bound to settle at the delta, but that doesn't mean we have to settle for what we're dealt. So let me leave with this. If I've hurt you, I was wrong, but I'm trying not to be the wrong kind of guy.
Next up, we have Bethany May.
Actually, a new poem that I just wrote a couple weeks ago. Have you ever had a love you can't shake? Even in the autumn, when the last leaves quake in the breeze, and you might wonder why it holds so tight. Then, in the darkness, it's like a burst of light, shimmering with color, rays blinking with delight. But it walks away. So I waited for May and the ambiance to be just right. It says one thing, then turns its cheek. How could love have bombed me when I felt so weak? Words were written, an inspiration unstable in the wind. It flew upon yellow wings and then dipped down that worn alley, hidden with regret. The apologies blend and disappear again. My world becomes gray, fighting for love or whoever will stay. I'm still waiting for that bright blue Venice day. But it always comes back. Years of gravitating in spirals, phone tags, and crossing down the street. I see it in dreams and in glances on bikes and trucks, an ongoing elegy, lovesick for peace. It isn't about me, but about a we. So I kept giving my love away until the 51st of May, but one day, love found the way. It wasn't with it or in silent cold shoulders, but inside, like a boulder with a cave, cozy and warm, no matter the sky. I stopped even asking why, sat down and released, because it was this beast idling in my eye. By the time it could be honest, well, I couldn't be modest. I built a new life, one where it didn't fit anyway. The influential raven with a repetitive edge. All of who I am has spiraled, and the thing I thought was love never fulfilled me. Circles around it, a distant memory.
Also give a round of applause because Beth leaves our social media queen. All right, I'm gonna do one real fast and then we're gonna get out of here. This is a very, very old one, but it's one I have memorized, so I'm gonna do that one because I didn't feel like looking up stuff. All right.
That's a good dick joke.
No, actually, this is more political, actually. But that's okay. It's politics the right way. If I wasn't at the start, it must not have began the stand that would band man together with his goat named Scape. The nape of my neck is sweaty. I bet he's thinking about me. Hoping I believe what needs to be believed so this point comes across. Across the divide where on one side there's a tide of the mind that believes there's motion in this ocean. Self-righteous teachings and pacifistic thought all caught in a wave that doesn't cease. Peace. The far side is far cry from peace, love, and good little children. It spills them over to the wrong side of their head, teaching them fight for the bread, teaching them pride for the dead, teaching them all the wrong shit, and it ain't getting better. You think you can just do whatever and the world will grow? Oh, this bridge has got to come down. It's built on stilts deep in the ground, and this hate still resonates with every hole the workers left. Oops. Hate still resonates with every hole the workers left. No. Hate still resonates. Every hole the workers dug. And the tug on my heart's a start. At least it means I feel. At least it means I'm real. You still want me to float in the middle, but your fiddle's playing the sad song, and the problem is it's too long. War is not the answer. It's the cancer that grows off the blows men tend to throw at each other. They don't know how to talk and just walk. They can't find the time. But the better weapon is the mind. And I'm armed to the teeth. Thank you. So this has been Poets and Pints number 114. I'd like to thank Maureen Skelly, even though she's not here. Give her a round of applause. I'd like to thank Brian Morrow, who is still here. Laura Rockhold, who's still here. And Taiwana Shambley, who had to go. And to all the open micers, thank you. Next month, we're going to be here on December 18th. So put it on your calendars, be here. It's going to be great. Otherwise, I thank you so much for coming. You can always find the show on our YouTube channel. Please subscribe. It's just Poets and Pints on YouTube, real easy to find. And if you could do me one last favor, bring all your cups to the bar, bring the candle, not the candle holder, to the bar, and the table tent to the bar. That would be great. Thank you so much. Have a good night. My name is Tony Plocido.